All right, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. People, this is my assessment of what China has in store for beautiful Jamaica. Jamaica is situated at a prime position. It is situated at a prime position for moving a lot of valuable goods. I will let your mind wander when I say valuable goods. All right, a kind of goods that the Chinese are known to be big into. And when I say big into, I'm talking about gangster big into. Now, not only that, but the beautiful island of Jamaica is also a money maker. A lot of people think that Jamaica is poor. Jamaica is extremely wealthy, extremely wealthy. However, her wealth is divided in a way that only few people have the majority of the wealth, while the majority of the people, they only admire that wealth. If you drive across the island, you can see that wealth. Yet majority of the people own none of that wealth. You might know some that get a trickle down piece of it, but there are people there with real wealth. The Chinese want this. They want the entire island of Jamaica. Okay? Make no mistake about it. I think Jamaica has lost sight of who the Chinese people are. The Chinese are masters at studying whoever it is they are going to deal with. So they know Jamaican history more than or better than most Jamaicans do. If you put a Jamaican scholar alongside a Chinese businessman or investor, I guarantee you he can probably teach that Jamaican scholar some things about Jamaican history. They study their prey. They study their prey to an extent that is mind-boggling. Down to the DNA makeup, you are studied. They've got Jamaica in their crosshairs. Now, before I go any further in saying all this, because I know there are a lot of Jamaicans that are going to say, out of many, one people, shut up, SouFlo. Stop making people feel scared. The Chinese are our friends. Everybody loves us. Because we've been taught in Jamaica to say that everybody loves us, right? And we've been taught that out of many, one people. And a lot of us don't normally get a rude awakening until we travel overseas. Some of us go to Europe, some go to the US, some go to Canada and other places in the world, and then we run into our rude awakening moment. It's the first time that we realize that these people that we've been admiring, these people that we've been taught to, and not just Chinese, but the whole complex of their light skin and their blue eyes, or their hair is stringy and blonde, and our women like to wear weaves to look like their hair, and the texture, and we admire them by buying everything that they produce with their names on it. And we brag about how rich we are or how wealthy we are. Think about it. When a black man wants to say he has arrived, he gets a German car, right? Or a European car. And he brags about it in a song. Same thing for his clothing even. And he brags about it in a song. Look, me, Chris Louis V's. Listen, make no mistake about this. There have always been Chinese people in Jamaica from way back. And I want you to go and do your own history. there are Chinese people that are as connected to the soil in Jamaica as there are black people there now that are connected to that soil. In other words, there are Chinese people in Jamaica that have been there since your people came. We cannot deny that chattel slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, brought Africans to the soil of Jamaica. Yes, there were black people there before. Yes, there are indigenous people that live on the island of Jamaica. But majority of who you see there right now, they can trace their roots through the transatlantic slave trade. I'm not asking you, you can go do your own research. Well, while they were coming in, shortly after, Chinese were coming in as well. And the Chinese came in as indentured servants. Many of those Chinese, they are no longer connected to mainland China. They are as connected to mainland China as you are connected to Africa. Put it that way. In other words, majority of those black people in Jamaica only read about that part of their history. And then they've been taught about it. But they have never been to Africa, the continent. They do not speak any African tongues, languages. They are disconnected from the continent. It is only in pride that they say, yeah, man, I'm African, or my ancestors. But they're not connected, really. Believe it or not, in Jamaica, you have Chinese that are the same. Some of these Chinese may speak their motherland tongue. May, because they were big on passing it down from from generation to generation, when we were prevented from passing ours down from generation to generation. They made sure that they never lost that part of themselves. Okay? Now, with that said, I want you to understand the Chinese that I'm talking about is the Chinese that are coming off of mainland China into Jamaica today, or has been for the past years, couple of years. The big investors, the ones that are sending in their workers, and those workers that are coming in. For instance, in 2019, I was in Jamaica and I saw massive developments going on. Huge construction work on high-rise buildings and highways. And they're digging into the hills. They're digging into the big hills to cut highways, smooth, fancy highways that look like I was in Miami, Florida, through these big mountains. So it no longer takes forever to get from Kingston to Ocho Rios. It no longer takes forever, even though I still drive the windy route, because it is on the windy route where I get to see the people that are selling the shrimps, the pepper shrimps, and the people that are selling all the roast corn and the food that I like. And you can stop and talk to people on these highways. It's just one shot, and there are no local Jamaicans on there selling anything. They're not allowed to. And you pay a heavy toll to use that highway. Why? Because China has to make her money out of Jamaica. This is her moneymaker. When I say China wants Jamaica and has plans for Jamaica, I'm not talking about those Chinese who have been there forever. I'm talking about these new investors. I am talking about the kingdom of China, because that is how it's looked at. Now, with all this stuff going on right now, with this COVID something and people getting ill and all this other stuff. And we know ground zero, it started there and all that. Man, listen. There's one thing you must know is that this. Chinese put nothing before China. Say it with me. Chinese put nothing before China. They do not put money before China. They do not put other people before China. They do not put religion or religious beliefs before China. There is nothing that they put before China. And this is one of the principles that has helped them to be as powerful as they are on the face of the earth today. In the mind of the Chinese, it is their due diligence to their ancestors and to their motherland, China, to become dominant in the world, a dominant force in the world, the beacon on the hill, which all will bow down to, the superior people. That is their agenda. And make no mistake about it, China has no problem using their people as weapons. Yep, that's what I said. China has no problem using their people as weapons. Now I know right now you're saying, what does he mean using their people as weapons? Like send them to fight you and all that? Yeah, send them to fight you is one. They can fight. The men are fighters. China is under a communist regime, right? And there are certain rules, laws, and restrictions and guidelines that they must follow. And some of it, if you don't follow it, is punishable by death, beatings, long imprisonment, all that stuff. One of them in particular is that every Chinese male must serve in the military, starting at the age of 18. So they start getting prepared for military life at 16, 17. They go in at 18, right? And they must serve full time. And then I believe it is up until they are 35 that they must either be ready reserve or militia men. Do you know what militia men means? I suggest you go and look it up. So when you are looking at these Chinese coming off the mainland of China, you are looking at men, militia men, you are looking at men that are very capable of pulling covert operations in other parts of the world. So they'll come in simple, looking like, oh, the Chinese tourists are here. Or they'll come in simple like, oh, the Chinese businessmen are here. They're going to work on the highway. They're going to work on the... And then suddenly, strange things start happening to sabotage the place that they want. Now, yes, they can fight. Yes, they're trained. They're military minded. They are willing to go to the last breath, to the death. You know, I asked my people, I said, which one of you are willing to fight to the death? Not many. Not many. Majority wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to live forever on earth, which is impossible anyways. So the Chinese, they have harnessed this, that we come here on earth only for a short period of time. Our impact must be great. And then we go on to bigger and better. We don't share the same concept. We don't share the same life beliefs. They do not pray to a white Jesus. The Chinese gods look like the Chinese. Therefore, they are empowered. But that's a whole nother story. Now, back to what I was saying. The Chinese are not afraid to use their people as weapons. Think, for instance, how a terrorist organization that is from, say, the Middle East would use a bomber, strap them with bombs and send them on a mission. And your mission is to go over there, get through the checkpoint and blow up that place because they're going to be having Sunday Mass there and there'll be about 300 people there. And this person goes to accomplish this. Well, that type of fighting, the Chinese have already shot past that light years. They are now thinking more on the lines of harnessing diseases and viruses to fight wars. They're now thinking more along the line of harnessing the weather to fight wars. I don't like you, I send a tsunami. The tsunami will kill off thousands. Yeah, but then it won't leave the island for us because they will rebuild. People will feel sorry for them. There will be a lot of monetary aids coming in to help them. Send a virus. It is not far-fetched to think of them developing a virus, and think of where we are right now. Them developing a virus, sending a couple of their people into the Caribbean, and you think they're here to build the highways, they're here to open up new hotels, they're here to open up schools. And before you know it, a lot of people start getting sick and dying. These people are able to go back to China and get cured. And if they don't make it back, then they just took one for the team. Jamaica has to be very, very careful because the plot is clear. China is right now infusing her institutions and her teachings into Jamaica, into Jamaica's culture, into Jamaica's institutions. Now they'll make it seem like what's wrong with learning to speak Mandarin? What's wrong with learning a foreign language? It can only benefit you because you will now be able to say you're bilingual, multilingual. You can get jobs easier, move up in position to a managerial position probably. All the perks they'll show you, right? Okay. They will show you all the good stuff that will come from them taking over every part of your society. And let's not forget the predatory lending that they are known for. The predatory lending that they are known for. Now people are saying, well, SouFlo, nobody else is going to help Jamaica, so why, the Chinese are helping them, so why not use the Chinese to help us to build nice highways and all that stuff, and then we'll pay them back their money to improve our infrastructure of our country, and then we'll pay them back their money over time. Whatever the Chinese does in Jamaica, it will take Jamaicans generations to pay it back. So in other words, we have politicians, right, that are going into business with these Chinese to the sum of monies that our grandchildren will be working for the Chinese to pay them back for. But the Chinese have a date. They're not just going to sit here and wait forever. If you are unable to pay them back, they will seize control of whatever it is that you borrowed money for, but were unable to meet the deadline to pay them back for. Now, I know people are going to say stuff like, SouFlo, Jamaica belongs to England, okay? The crown owns Jamaica. Why do you think Prince Harry still comes there and check in on his peasants? Why do you think on his inheritance and all this other stuff? England, the crown, the queen, they own Jamaica. But Jamaica is being rented out for business. Okay? So the queen keeps making a whole lot of money. Now, the Chinese have decided that the black man, he's neither here nor there. He's a servant still. He can be used. He can be valuable to control the masses that live on the land. But when we want the land for ourselves, then we'll get rid of all those and bring in our own people. The clear vision for the Chinese is to have a Jamaica that when you get on a plane and you land there, you will probably be seeing majority Chinese faces, whether it's at the airport or in the hotels or vendors on the streets, in the markets, the locals. Don't be surprised if the day comes when you go get some jerk chicken from a jerk drum when you land, because that's one of my favorite things to do. If the drum is smoking, I'm checking it out, because I want some jerk chicken off the drum. Authentic jerk chicken, right? Don't be surprised when you land in a few years, you'll see Chinese people selling jerk chicken. You'll see Chinese people playing reggae music. I know it's hard and far-fetched for a lot of people to believe that China wants Jamaica for themselves, but it's a fact. Now you got to look at what's going on right now in China, right? With the whole rebranding of the coronavirus. Now I don't want to hear the part about, it was developed in the US. And when they found out, they took it to China. And from there, they further developed it and mastered it into what it is before they released it. Check it. We got to look at what's going on right now. China wants the island of Jamaica. And I'm saying the island of Jamaica because I'm speaking specifically about one island. Okay, so all my Caribbean people out there, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it applies to you and you see things going on similar in your part of the Caribbean, then you already know what it is. But to my Jamaican people, this is exactly what it is. Okay? And make no mistake about it, your leaders are very much in on it. Now you might say, what does it benefit them to do that, to sell Jamaica out, hook, line, and sinker? What about their children and their grandchildren? Well, they're so busy filling their pockets and planning their future, they know pretty much that their children and grandchildren will still be in the elite class of the island, because classism is something that's huge in Jamaica, right? So what class will they be in is more their concern. They won't be peasants. They won't be slaves. And they will also have options because they'll be able to live in other countries. So they'll have the option to run if things ever get really bad, while majority of ours will still be depending on a visa. Hope say mama make it to know, hope say she get her paper straight so she can file for 1 week. That'll be our future versus theirs, and they know it. Again, this is not an attack video on Chinese, and I could go much deeper, but we're going to need a part 2 for this because not many people listen past 30 minutes of a video. Hell, majority of you have a problem listening to 5 minutes of a 10-minute video. You listen for 2 minutes, you leave a comment, and you move on to another video. And this is one of our biggest problems. You see the Chinese people? They are masters at propaganda. They are masters at learning. They sit and they listen intently. And then they harness that information and use it as power to empower themselves. We are so distracted as a people. We are distracted by shoes, clothes, cars, houses, material trinkets that mean nothing in the long run. The Chinese have invested in making sure they turn out large numbers of scientists, world-leading scientists, world-leading doctors, surgeons. It is all for the kingdom of China. They have invested in making sure that a lot of their citizens are top students at Ivy League universities in all the first world countries on earth. Let it sink in. And they also have the same level of education in their own country. And when these people are finished, they return to China to empower China. China is a bit crowded. China wants to spread her wings. It is about owning as much of the earth and its natural resources as possible. Cash money does not make you rich. Owning businesses might make you wealthy, does not make you truly rich. Owning Earth's resources is what makes you rich. You own uranium, you own all the gold, you own all the natural gases, you own all the earth minerals, you own all the herbs and spices. Now you're rich. And this is what China is focused on. A fertile island like Jamaica that can not only produce in resources, but is also a hotbed for one big life party. Why do you think Jamaica's tourism industry booms? No matter how high the murder rate climbs, the number of people, tourists that visit, that number climbs even higher. One year we said, wow, 1,617 people murdered this year. I think Jamaica got almost an extra 100,000 new tourists to their list. By the next year, it was almost 1 million new tourists to the list. No one is saying, oh, I'm running away from there, I'm scared. No, they're saying it's beautiful there. And we know that they're really not after us. They only kill their own. China knows this. And soon, China will live out her master plan, which is to completely seize control of the island of Jamaica. I'm going to leave this right here for now, and I'll catch you on the next video where I'll do a part 2, and I'll talk about other things, and I'll point you in a direction where you can read and see some mind-boggling things. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.